Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're stepping into an imaginary room for a conversation that the poet Mary Oliver curated with the mentors who basically shaped her soul. This is a journey into how we see, what we feel, and, why we create in the first place.
So let's start with Mary Oliver's own words, because they really set the stage for her entire philosophy. Her journey didn't begin with trusting herself, but with trusting the world, a field, a pond, a tree. For her, it seems, learning to trust what's outside of you was the only real way to understand what's inside.
So, who joins her on this journey? Well, Oliver imagines a round table with some of literature's absolute greatest minds. This is the spiritual cast list for our exploration. You've got Whitman's big, embracing heart, Emerson's steady insight, Rilke's profound solitude, and Millay's passionate fire. Let's pull up a chair and listen in.
The first step on this poet's journey starts with something so simple, an act Oliver considered a form of prayer, just paying attention. It's all about how that simple act of looking really closely can open us up to a world of truth and wonder.
So Oliver poses her first question to the group, and really it's a profound one for all of us. What is revealed when we move beyond just a superficial glance? What truth is waiting right there, just beneath the surface of the ordinary?
Emerson's take is that the world is full of these hidden connections. He calls them correspondences. But here's the catch. They don't shout for our attention. They only reveal themselves to the quiet eye, to the patient observer who's willing to just watch and wait.
Rilke offers a bit of a different perspective. For him, attention allows us to find the interior life of things, to feel a chair's loneliness or a book's history. And through that kind of focused observation, an object gets transformed into a companion.
You can see how this builds, right? This kind of deep attention, it naturally leads to the next step for any poet, solitude. It's about finding the clarity that can only come from stepping away from all the noise of the world.
And this leads Oliver to a really crucial question. What actually happens to us in solitude? Do we become more intensely ourselves, or do we kind of dissolve into the world around us? It's a fascinating paradox to think about.
And the answers they give reveal all these different paths that solitude offers. For Millay, it enlarges the self, makes it more vivid. For Thoreau, it dissolves the false self, purifying whatever remains. And then there's Whitman, who says it actually opens the self up, making it porous to the world.
Okay, so once we're quiet, once we are truly attentive, we can finally begin to hear the voice of the natural world. For Oliver and her mentors, this wasn't just pretty scenery, it was a source of profound, undeniable truth. And two powerful ideas come up about nature's voice. Emerson sees nature as the primary text, and us as its students, just trying to read it. But Whitman, he views it as a constant conversation, where we and the world actually speak through each other. Now, Shelley offers a really radical idea here. He argues that the awe you feel looking at a storm isn't just an emotion, it's a form of knowledge, a kind of wisdom that reason can't even touch. For Shelley, beauty itself is a truth.
This brings us right to the emotional heart of the matter. This intense and, let's be honest, often painful relationship between beauty, the joy it brings, and the sorrow it so often seems to carry with it. Why does beauty have to ache?
Edna St. Vincent Millay's answer is really a challenge. She agrees that loving the world this intensely is dangerous. Of course it is. It'll break your heart. But then she asks, what's the alternative? A guarded heart? A life that's only half lived? The risk, she argues, is just the price of deep living.
So Oliver then poses this deeply moving question about the alchemy of art. She's asking about that magical transformation where deep sorrow becomes something luminous, something that shines. How does that happen?
And the consensus among the poets seems to be that the sorrow itself isn't the light, but when that sorrow is held with real tenderness and used to connect us to our shared humanity, that is when it begins to shine.
This need to connect our sorrow to a shared humanity brings us to the final question. Why create at all? What is this deep-seated need to make art, to write poems, and to connect with the world through language? Well, when asked who they write for, a fascinating split emerges. Rilke writes for the single, solitary soul in darkness. But Whitman's arms are wide open, writing for the great human multitude of the future. It really shows you both the intimate and the epic reasons for creating art. But ultimately, they all seem to agree that writing is how the soul expresses its deepest desires.
the desire to become, to understand its own nature, and finally, to break out of isolation and join the great flowing river of life.
So after listening to all of her mentors, Mary Oliver distills everything she's learned into her own final instruction, a simple, three-part philosophy for a meaningful life. And she leaves us with these three beautifully simple instructions. This is it. This is the core. Pay attention. Allow yourself to be astonished by what you see, and then find a way to tell about it. She transforms a life of poetry into an actionable philosophy for literally anyone.
And why tell about it? Well, this isn't about creating art for art's sake or for fame. For Oliver, it's about a much, much deeper purpose, the soul's fundamental need for truth.
And with that powerful, open-ended invitation, the imaginary conversation is over. But the real work, well, that's just beginning. Oliver is inviting you to start your own journey of attention and astonishment. The world is waiting.